Hello, my dear students. Myself, Rita Rani, and this is the second part of Chapter 7 Print Culture in the Modern World. But before starting the explanation of Part 2, I would like to request you again, please subscribe our channel. If you have not subscribed till now, press the bell icon for further notifications. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends also. Now let's move to the second part. In the first part, students, I have already explained printing in the early days means how this journey was started and it got developed in China. After that, it traveled across the European countries. I have already explained the features of handwritten manuscripts. And after that, wood block printing got popularity in Europe. So these topics I have already explained in part 1. Now in part 2 I will explain the great impact of modern print culture. Not modern print culture, the great impact of print culture on the modern world. First impact was visual culture. In 19th century, a new visual culture got developed just because of this print culture. Because as the time passed, scientific inventions brought revolutionary changes. As number of printing press was increasing, visual images could be printed in multiple copies. Now it was possible that maximum and more number of the books or the visual images could be printed. Now means supply of printed material was increasing, and that is why price of those printed material was going down. Now it was the time when poor people could afford these printed material also. For example, Raja Ravi Verma, he was a great painter and his paintings were very expensive. Now the images of his paintings for mass circulation were available in the market because these images were available in the printed form also. Now poor people could decorate the walls of their houses with the cheap prints and calendars. I have already told you the supply was increasing, that is why price were going down. So now this printed material was easily available in the market and on the cheap and the reasonable price. That is why poor people were also able to buy them. Second effect was print popularized the ideas of enlightened thinkers. Through print, intellectuals, philosophers, great thinkers, they were able to express their views. And in the form of books, that expression of thought was reaching to the mass, was reaching to the common people. Those thoughts of the great thinkers, great intellectuals, great people were like a critical commentary, especially on traditional social setup or superstitions and despotism. Despotism means at that time power of state, power of church was uncontrollable. It was not regulated, it was not controlled by rules and regulations or the constitution. So despotism or despotic power means the uncontrollable power in any individual or any state or any means government or in means single person that cannot be controlled by constitution, that cannot be controlled by any rules and regulation. So it was called means Nirankush Satta. So against this, the views of great thinkers was just like a critical commentary. Now, scholars started arguing for the rule of reason rather than custom. They argued that people should get what they deserve according to their ability, not by their birth. Means whatever they get, they should get on the basis of their work, on the basis of their ability, on the basis of their performance. They should not get according to their birth. They started attacking over the uncontrollable power of church and state. And in this way, they brought revolutionary change in the society by breaking the traditional social boundaries. Great thinkers like Voltaire, Rousseau became very popular through their writings. They changed the traditional mindset of the society and gave a new way of thinking. They gave new eyes to the people to see the world in a different way, where everything should be judged by reason and rationality. They believe that people should question. Questioning is very important. No tradition should be followed blindly. So it was really a great impact over the society. It created a new awareness among the people. Now the next effect is development of reading mania in Europe. In the 17th and 18th centuries, the literacy rate went up in most of the parts of Europe. New forms of popular literature appeared in print and got new readers. Actually, it was the time when different types of reading material related to different subjects and topics were coming in the print form. Simply, I can say for all types of people, all types of books were available. Or we can say means different books were coming. So different readers were also available in the market. Now books were printed on different topics like religion, politics, current affairs, sports, scientific inventions, fashion, folk tales. Means on all the subjects, on all the areas, books were written. And not only written, they were widely read by the different readers. Now people were able to get the book according to their interest. And books were available for the women and children also. Even there were ritual calendars along with ballad and folk tales. They were also available. Paddlers roamed around villages carrying little books of different interest for sale. Means poor people were roaming here and there carrying small books, cheap books, and they were carrying different books for different readers. So the poor people could easily buy those cheap small books from those paddlers. In England, these cheap or small books were called chapbooks, and these chapbooks were sold for a penny. Penny means a bronze coin in England at that time is small monetary unit. Like in India, coins paisa, like 50 paise at that time. Now in the present time it is not there. So 1 rupee coin you can see. So and in the France also such type of cheap books were sold by the paddlers, and those low price books were called bibliotheque blue. They were bound in cheap blue covers. Not only this, the discoveries of Isaac Newton and the writings of thinkers like Thomas Paine, Voltaire, Rousseau were also widely printed and read also. Another impact of print on Indian women. Print culture had a great impact on women, especially in India. Now, writers started writing about the lives of women, and it increased the number of women readers also. It was the time when liberal fathers and husbands started educating their women folk at home, and after that, sent them to schools also. Many women writers started writing and contributed to print culture. Many women writers wrote their autobiographies. They highlighted the poor condition of women, how they were imprisoned at home, kept in ignorance, forced to do hard domestic work, and treated unjustly. All these descriptions were presented by the women writers in a very beautiful and a very pathetic, heart-touching manner. They were there were many great women writers like Rash Sundari Devi, Kailash Bashini Devi, Begum Ruqayya Shekhawat Hussain, Tarabai Shinde, Pandita Ramabai. Tarabai Shinde and Pandita Ramabai wrote about the miserable life of upper caste Hindu women, especially widow, in the early 20th century. Many journals became very popular because they discussed women education, widowhood, and widow remarriages. So, in this way, these women writers created an awareness among women. They made them realize that they should raise their voice for their respect. They should give respect for their existence. They should understand that they have their own existence, they have their respect, and they should value themselves. So, it was a great contribution by print. Another impact, print culture in the French Revolution, rise of French Revolution. Many historians argue that print culture created conditions within which French Revolution occurred. Now, question is how print culture was responsible. Wait a minute, students. Here, yes. Now, many historians argued that print culture created the condition within which French Revolution occurred. Now, the question is how print culture was responsible for French Revolution. And the answer is through print, great ideas of enlightened thinkers reached to the common people. And those ideas became very popular also. Now common people started thinking critically on tradition, superstition, despotism. Now they have started to see the world with new eyes in a different way. Not only great ideas, but all types of information was also available in the form of print. Now people started thinking in a different way. A new culture of debate and dialogues was developed. Traditional mindset and the values were getting changed. By 1780s, new forms of literature were coming in bloom, especially cartoons and caricatures. In the present time, you are very much familiar with this form of literature. They mocked the royalty and criticized their so-called morality. Means through the caricatures and the cartoons, they mocked the so-called morality of the royal people, or we can say the hypocrisy. Actually, it was a satirical form. It was just like a satire on hypocrisy or the so-called royal class morality. Now, impact of print culture on India. In India, print culture came with the arrival of Portuguese missionaries. First printing press came to Goa in mid 16th century. Konkani was the first Indian language in which books were printed first. First Tamil book was printed at 1579 in Cochin. The first Malayalam book was printed in 1713. From 1780s, English magazine named Bengal Gazette was edited by James Augustus Hickey. By the end of 18th century, a number of newspapers and journals began to be published. Students, here you can note down these years, in which year which book was printed first. So these years are very important. They can be when MCQs will be there in the question paper or in the exams. So these dates you can note down. It will help you for your preparation. Next is Vernacular Press Act. Another topic. Just wait. Yeah. First of all, I would like to tell you what is vernacular language. Actually, the language is spoken in particular area by a particular group. That language is called vernacular language. Local native language is called vernacular language. It is not the official or written language. After the revolt of 1857, the attitude to freedom of the press that was changed. After that means a feeling of nationalism started coming in the heart of the people. They started to be united, and these different local newspapers became assertively nationalist. Means their target was to arise the feeling of nationalism in the heart of the people. And the colonial government took a strict control over them. In 1878, the Vernacular Press Act was passed by the British government. It was passed just to control these vernacular press. Because colonial government thought that these vernacular press were responsible for spreading nationalist ideas. And they had a fear that if these press got success, then it will be very difficult for the colonial government to rule over our country. So just to control the freedom of the press, they passed this Vernacular Act. And this act gave extensive powers, rights to the government to censor reports and editorials in the vernacular press. When any report, any article was judged as seditious, means it was judged by them, according to them, if it was seditious, the newspaper was warned, and even after warning, if newspaper ignored that warning, the press was seized by the government. And the machinery of the press was confiscated, means taken away by the government, by the authority. So simply means it was the act passed by the government just to control the freedom of the press. So that's all for the explanation part of this chapter, my dear students. Let's move to the question part. So here I'm giving you a few questions. You can note down and you can write their answers in your notebooks. First question is, explain how print culture affected women in 19th century in India. How did a new reading culture bloom in China? Trace the history of print revolution in India. In what way did print culture affect the reformers? Explain with examples. Explain the role of women writers in designing the structure of the subsequent society of contemporary period. Students, answers of these questions I have already explained in the first and the second part of the chapter. So easily you can note down the answers of these questions. So that's all for this chapter. Thank you very much. We will meet in the another video with a new chapter. Till then,